Hello, everybody. This is your favorite inspirational nurse, RN Era. I hope everyone is having a wonderful and fabulous day. And today I want to share how you can make extra income if you have a bachelor's level degree. So let's talk about it. So stop picking extra shifts up right now, y'all. I know that right now our economy is not so nice to us right now. And so nurses are working multiple jobs, multiple shifts, 6 to 7 days a week. So I have a plan in place for you to cut down on that workload and to reduce your patient workload as well, right? And it's by literally getting paid to teach, y'all. Yes, I said it. For becoming a nurse, clinical nurse instructor, y'all. And the reason why I am putting this out there because I love to share things that I've done successfully. I have been a clinical nurse instructor going on 2 years. I teach the nurse practitioners, the LPNs. I love it, honey. They got the energy, honey. Love teaching them, love pouring into them clinically because most nursing programs need strong nurses to pour into the future nurses because these nurses, y'all, are easy to teach, y'all. They're quick learners, right? They just looking for somebody to have a little bit more patience with them, be able to teach in different ways, right? There's so many ways now you can pour into your student clinical wise, right? To ensure that they don't break stereofill, honey. So let's talk about some of the benefits of becoming a clinical nurse instructor. So number one is your flexible schedule. So you have a pick between days and nights. Currently, I do nights, what we call an evening shift. And it's just 5:30 to 10:30, right? And another benefit, it cut down on my patient load, y'all. So I am also a travel nurse, and so travel nurse burnout is real. Nurse burnout is real out there, y'all. And nurse burnout is the point where you don't even know you're already on fire. You waking up every day to get to that shift. I remember, y'all, story time, y'all. I remember driving to work. I remember I had to work in this place, and in order to get to the job, I had to drive through this park, y'all. Dark park, not a road. It was not a road, no lines and nothing. Literally, a deer ran in front of my car because it was a car heading towards me. I'm going straight in the dark, trying to get to my night shift, y'all. The deer, all I see was big eyes go that way, y'all, and I kept going. I kept going to work. I was an autopilot until I showed up to the job, and the nurses was like, "Tierra, what happened to you? What's going on with your car? A dinosaur must have ate the front of my SUV, y'all." And the deer went that way, and I was just at work, and I clocked in, y'all. To cut down on that nurse burnout, right? You could become a nurse clinical instructor. All you need is a bachelor's level degree, y'all. You can work, if you have higher level degrees, you can use these degrees so they're not sitting, y'all. So clinical nurse instructor, if you just want to do that role, that is fine. So you can just do those roles. There's so many universities that's in your area that is looking for clinical instructors. They are very different hours, right? So there's different hours. You know, the higher you're teaching, so the high level of nurses that you're teaching, the more hours. So if you're teaching RN, your hours may be 12-hour clinicals, because as y'all know, nursing school, our clinical hours was long as for RN, when you was getting your RN. And for LPNs, it's going to be much shorter. So your hours may be just 5 to 6 hours, and that is it. And so those 5 to 6 hours, you get to use your special skills because you are a business asset. You have to look at yourself as that in 2026, y'all. And this is why in nursing school, they should tell you, do not burn your bridges out there, because if you do extremely well in your nursing program, they love you as a student and you want to come back. I went back to the place where I graduated from, y'all. I'm an ECPI graduate twice, y'all. Proud of it. Did it. It was super hard. Accelerating program, 5 weeks a term. I must have thought I was crazy doing it, but I've done it. I've done a lot of things, honey. And this was just took the icing. I'm not sponsoring them, but what I'm saying is there is opportunities for nurses out there another benefit is to boost your resume. If you're trying to get into education or something where it's not by the bedside, this also helps. And sometimes you just don't know that you got what it takes, honey. You got to use what you got. to get what you want. That's old school, y'all. So you're boosting your resume, right? So now you're getting to the educational field, which is a need. It's such a need, y'all, to be able to pour into these students because they need somebody to get them out of nursing school. So nurses help nurses out there. So I did well with my program to the point where they wanted me as soon as I graduated, honey. Yes, my assistant director was like, "We come on, Tierra." I'm like, ah. And I chose to not at the moment, just so I can get some experience and really get some things under my belt. So, because I already knew these type of students I'm going to have, and wherever I went, I was going to have them. I already knew the level of knowledge and wisdom that they already come with. Like, they're born with this wisdom, right? They already have what's inside. They just need someone to come and pour into them to make them believe in themselves, right? To show compassion, right? When they make a mistake, when they're not so perfect, to bring down the egos, and nurses, Okay, so anyway, y'all, you just need a little bit of personality, patience, to be fair, to have skills, like a really good resume. If you're trying to go for these roles, have a really good resume that just features. For instance, for me, y'all, I used to do this on the side. Like, I teach on YouTube for over 10 years. I've done all types of teaching on there, touching lives all around the world. As far as nursing went, I was sharing everything I was learning along the way. I started from zero. I started as a broke nursing student. It's just like everybody else trying to become successful. And not everybody leave nursing school becomes successful, honey. So they're looking for somebody also to be honest, right? Not sugarcoat anything, but also be able to be vulnerable with them, right? To let them know that, look, I'm human. Like, yes, girl, I was there too, like I was there. So let me teach you how to elevate your career in a shorter time. Maybe you had a late start in nursing. Maybe you're an older student. I get a lot of your older ones, honey, and smart, honey, graduating top of their classes, period. Grandmas up there, period. And I'm pouring into all these different age groups, different backgrounds, y'all. And what I was passionate about is, and when I first got to the university, is knowing that they skills. I'm like, oh no, honey, we got to do something about them skills, honey. We got to get these students right so they can be able to take care of your loved ones, your children. Maybe you, like, if you can trust them out there, take care. Like, oh yeah, come on here, that's my student. Let me tell you how powerful teachers are. You are a frontliner, You're the person that sets the tone. So they can have an amazing career because you set the tone. You are honest with them so they can be polished, right? And say, girl, lift your shoulder. Like, I'm thinking with the faces, honey. The faces, go in the bathroom, redo your face, come back out, okay, period. And honey, let pour into them, because this generation needs that right now. And let me tell you, there's so many openings to large universities, small universities, private universities, whatever universities. There's so many new developing nursing programs that need instructors, right? I even teach on that, and I do clinical instructor. So I love that I could say, honey, we just did GI, and my nurses are slaying it. I remember when I was first starting, y'all, first year, and one hospital called back and was like, talking about who I was teaching them DKA, and that was my class, y'all, Med-Surg, baby, teaching them DKA and all these things that these students was doing the thing. They was up in that ED killing it, you feel me? Just as PNs, y'all, And let me tell you, I was an LPN back in the day, and made me an amazing nurse. When I went to RN school, most of my RN friends that I was chilling with for the moment, most of them was just new, never touched nobody ever, never had clinical experience, never been in the hospital, never. So they were scared to touch anything, honey. They were like, oh my God. So the skills, I already came with the skills because I was an LPN. So my skills were already built. So it was just about getting the theory part, right? Getting that theory part down. You want to teach nurses to be better than you, right? You want to teach nurses to go out there and create something that can benefit the whole community, right? That can find an easier way for you to charge, easy way for you to do your job, your day-to-day tasks, how to make income, right? They're going to go out there and start something. And now you don't know. Nursing is such a small world, y'all. So those are some of the benefits, right? So if you have a BSN and some passion and a little bit of fashion, come on and become a clinical nurse instructor, and honey. And most of the time, the hospitals you're going to, facilities you're going to, you've already been been in there as a nurse. You already worked in there. So you have some connections. You have some networking, right? You know, okay, my students ain't going on that yet. The D unit, Oh, but we're going to go over there. And if I have students that graduated from the program that are working, I will go in those units to help them because they're new nurses. They're new nurses, and I know what it's like now that have the diploma, the degrees in your hand, and now you're like, oh God, now I'm the nurse. Now all that talking, now let's see what you do with the talking. Now that's why I go help them, and I know because most new nurses don't like help. They feel like they got it all and they could do it all, and we've been there. And now the senior nurses girls are sitting there like this, honey. Okay, period, watching, since you got it all. But anyway, y'all, so a little bit of passion, right? I went from burnout. I traveled for so long, y'all, since I was an LPN, no experience, jumped right into travel nursing and took off. My career God has had his hands in it. He has had his hands in it the entire time. I remember begging to be a preceptor because I love to teach. Everybody was coming to me. How you do the NG tube again? Oh, I forgot. Oh, girl, how you do hook the thing up again? I forget, Tierra. What happened? And I was helping my friends out, helping my friends out on the unit because their freaking managers was not training these nurses. And I remember stepping to the big boss of all the educators, and asking her when we had a trach bleed out. And the primary nurse just stood outside the room, watched the patient bleed out, never called the code, never went in the room. Everybody just standing there watching the patient suffer while the husband pacing back and forth in the room. I will never forget somebody calling my name every time there was an emergency in the hospital. And I was just a Med-Surg nurse. Med-Surg nurse, no, I won't say nobody, but I was just a Med-Surg nurse, minding my business, trying to keep my head down, make my little money, and pay my debt. Okay, that's about it. And they kept calling me to every code. And I would go to the code, and I'm like, who's the primary nurse? They like, we are, but no one is trach experienced. No one has this education. No one is trained. No one taught me. And I'm like, wait, I thought everybody was getting trained. But I forgot I went to a residency program. So it was a big difference for me, high number 7. Even though I was already a nurse for 4 years, I started over again. Went 13 weeks of crucial training in my hospital. So I was well trained, but I already had trach experience as an LPN. I worked with my vent patients already, A-lines already before I even became an RN. Yes, I challenged myself. I put myself in challenging units that nobody wanted to work on, right? I'm traveling to, right? I'm going in there and touching lives. I'm going there. I remember I had 4 vent patients in one room, and I'm suctioning and I'm doing oral care, suctioning oral care, everybody, suctioning oral care the whole time, honey. Taking care of them vent patients, taking care of those trach patients, right? On LTAC units, right? I'm doing it as a LPN. So I remember not knowing that the hospital sense, everybody's not trained, right? Everybody don't know the same things. Some people make it look like they know and they Googling it, and some people really know, so I always been that leader. So I always been that person they could call during the code, right? And I'm giving my clinical expertise, and I'm saying, okay, so for that trach lady, I'm like, all right, first of all, PPE down to the ground. We're dealing with airway, right? So let's PPE, let's go in the room, right? Let's somebody call the chaplain for the husband. So I just took over the codes. I started taking over all the codes. And then so when I graduated from my residency program, my manager wanted to hold my application, talking about, oh, you're so good. But I didn't want to work on the little message units because the managers were terrible. And so anyway, that was one of my reasons. So I went to the ICU. So my manager's like, the ICU, that we have the largest ICU. Step down. Good luck. I don't need luck, honey. I'm going. Because y'all call me. It's in my profile. Every time there was a code, every time something going on, I was there. Critical care patients, taking care of them on the general side. But that's what they wanted. A strong nurse on the general side to take care of their critical patients, not getting the pay and not getting the value and not getting the respect. So Miss Fleming has been there and done that. So when it comes to students, I can say my experience. I can say what not to do. I can say when to push back and when to say, no, I'm doing it. And give them the confidence, because a lot of our students just need confidence, y'all. They just need somebody to pray for them when they're not having a good day. They need somebody to show up. Don't matter what's going on in your life. I show up every time. They be like, Dad, so you never cancel. Never. I show up. Don't matter what I got going on. And let me tell you, before I go into clinical, I take at least 30 or 15 minutes, I get there early, and I listen to some music, honey. I be in there just reggaeing down, honey, just I'm getting it down so I can kind of reset my mind to it's clinical time. Another thing I do to be an amazing clinical instructor, y'all, is I have a separate bag. So when I'm not in lecture and I'm not in the classroom and I have a clinical bag, it puts me in clinical mode because all of my clinical stuff is in there. I had that bag for over I want to say over 10 years, so over 15, going on 10, 12 years, 13, 14 years, whatever. That was my first clinical bag that I bought as a new nurse coming into healthcare, and I still have it. And so I use it as I put on my backpack, and it has all my clinical stuff in there, y'all. So I'm going to make some content on helping future clinical nurse instructors become clinical nurse instructors. You're going to have to run some background checks on you. You got to be able to pass a drug screening. Another thing you're going to have to do, y'all, definitely, is all the stuff over. So like most hospitals that I travel to as a travel nurse, because I changed my title, now they made me start over as far as their orientation, modules, all the things. And so I don't okay, whatever. So I have to do that. But every term that starts over, I have to do my paperwork over and over again. So whatever flu shots, COVID shots, everything over every 5 weeks, because we're an accelerated program, I have to submit my paperwork every time. That's the only thing that you got to do. But you find ways to make it work for you, right? So it's not overwhelming. Okay, and you have to be the captain of your ship, because you got some captains that you're going to be teaching, and they got some strong personalities, and you don't want to be a personality thing like that. So you have to pour into your captain. So every clinical, y'all, I made sure I have one charge nurse, one team captain. Whoever it is, I make the decision, and they're going to be in charge. And then if they don't do good, they get fired. Yeah. And then we'll go on to the next one and give them, because I have students that are like, I'm going to be people's bosses, and I'm going to be running the units. And I'm like, okay, let's give you an opportunity. And so I had one student, I gave the opportunity. I'm like, I'm going to make you in charge of this. You're in charge of this. I'm not in charge. I'm not saying anything about it. You are in charge. You just report. Let me know everything's done. And honey, struggling, like, oh, nobody listening to me. I'm like, okay, but you say you was a captain. Okay, so yeah, it takes time to be captains, right? It takes time to develop. But I pour into those gifts. If I see anything cool on the unit, I find ways to get the clinical skills done. So even if you don't have enough nurses on the unit, even if sometimes you might get a little attitude, which only happened once when we were arriving, and all the students were so excited because it's their first real clinical. Because I was pushing for this site for us to be in this hospital, because Med-Surg, you need to be touching real people by then in nursing school. And I fought to get back into this hospital, and I've been working for the hospital myself as a PRN princess for all the ICU, so I was familiar with the system, honey. And I'm like, listen, these nurses need to be in hospitals, right? So let's get this contract. Let's keep this contract. Let's keep this partnership, right? So nursing schools have partnerships and contracts with these different facilities, and you want to keep that good impression going so they don't lose it, because that means the student's not going to be able to get those hours there and that experience. So you got to check them before they go out to the floor. You got to set expectations, because they know. They be like, this from you strict. No, I have fun, but at the same time, I'll let you know. And it's all about expectations. It's kind of like when you go in the grocery store, your mom said, don't look at nothing, don't talk, don't ask me for nothing, don't touch nothing. And she giving you the bust down before you go into the grocery store. Same thing you do with your students. Hey, best thing is to be vulnerable with them, right? Let them know, like, listen, you're human. Look, sometimes you make mistakes. Sometimes some things come up, right? You didn't do something perfect. Things come up. Sometimes things happen, right? You're overwhelmed. Sometimes people don't know that you're doing so much for these students behind the scenes. So it's so much, right? And you don't have so many students with you. You have a certain ratio. So you're not going to be 12 people, 30 people. That is illegal. No. You can only have a few people per one instructor, which I only have like up to 8, which most of the time, sometimes if they call out, you have less, and you can pour into those students. I remember going to clinical with just one student because everybody else called out, and I went for my one student. They like, so you can call out? Nope. And she had an amazing day. We had an amazing day together. I was able to even give her info, resources, hook up. Things of that nature. So anyway, y'all, so if you're looking for additional income, right, and sometimes you may get a little pushback, because some nurses on the unit could be a little like, because I remember going to the unit, and the students are super excited to be there, and then this team was just the vibes, you know what I'm saying? And I respect most nurses. If they're in orientation mode, if nurses are in training, I do not place students with nobody that's in training. I'll pick if I don't like certain. I remember one of the nurses told me that work on the unit, she started crying because I never put my students with her, and she thought she wasn't a good nurse, or it was something that she was doing. But I'm like, It ain't something that you're doing. It's just if I feel your vibes, I spiritually can pick up on things if I feel uncomfortable about anything. Or most of the time, sometimes I may let them work together, nurses work together as a treat. I save some nurses as a gift for certain of my students. So if they've done good in clinical, I gift them a certain nurse. And I know that that nurse is an expert in a lot of areas. And I know their personality is going to mesh well. And they're like, Miss Woman, oh my God, guess what I did? Guess what I did? Guess what I saw? Guess what I saw? And I'm like, they're going to have that type of day. I gift that out. But she was literally crying because I ain't put students with her for like never. And I'm like, oh, it got to be a reason. Sorry. But yeah, and for those that try to push back, there was another nurse who showed up, and she was just like, student, and I was like, she just started looking at me like, I match energy, because whatever she was doing with the shoulders, and I was shouldering, like, these are my babies here, huh? Don't, She switched quick, honey. Oh, no problem. Oh, no, Miss Lynn, I was just trying to figure, I was like, let me tell y'all, love my students. I want them to be the best. I want them to be well-rounded. I tell my students, do not stick to a specialty. That's all you would do. You will not ever get exposed to anything, and you're going to have critical patients with you. They may not have room. So all the years of expertise that you have what it takes to be a clinical instructor. Let me tell you how cool it is to be a clinical instructor, y'all. It's kind of like when you teach your kids how to walk for the first time, how to use a spoon for the first time, and they get it. You're like, yay! Same thing, same kind of feeling, but you like, let's go. And they're like, guess what I did? That's what. And sometimes they're so excited. I can't even get in the classroom without somebody like, look, let me tell you what I did this week. And it could be from terms ago, other classes, they come in and they want to share with me, because my room is open for them to be them authentic selves and be excited about learning and nursing. Nursing is exciting. Teaching should always be fun. So we make fun out of things. Like I teach them about my special patients I had out there, honey. Some stories, they be busting out laughing. And if you know they're tired, find a way to make it a fun clinical. Like, hey, y'all, we going to do this game, or we going to, like sometimes I may say they all Power Rangers for the day, honey. We be like, oh, I'm the green one, I'm the red one. Because, honey, I'm an 80s baby. And, honey, they be so excited to get their little Power Ranger powers and go in there and just be in there, just saving lives, honey. And be respectful. You want them to be able to be respectful enough to come to you. You want to always make sure you're approachable, because some nurses are scary. You might be a little scary, honey, but you want to be approachable to these students, right? So they could come to you and say, Miss Woman, I'm not sure what that is, or I'm not sure if I've done that. I don't know if I skipped a step. And also, I expose them to the kits that's actually in hospitals versus in the lab, because it's a totally different kit. It's a actual kit, a real kit you're going to be using on patients. So the folded kits may have more stuff in it. Other kits have more stuff than do our university labs do. So I expose them to those kits so they can be like, and I let them touch things. It's kind of like having an infant. You want them to feel and touch texture of things. You want them to feel how to connect something, right? How to properly clean things. Like I always get on them, I'm cleaning in between patients. We're going to do it the right way. And I remember even we had a patient that had a little blood on her stuff, and we were cleaning up the room, and we was following the hospital protocol, because I'm a protocol girly, huh? And honey, getting the biohazard bag and charge nurse looking at us like, yeah, I got to do my, baby. I'm like, it's biohazard. Is a biohazard reason why we're doing the biohazard. We're not even going to explain ourselves here. We're going to do the right thing. So do the right thing, y'all. Follow the hospital protocols. They have protocols for reasons. They have policies for reasons, y'all. You're going to be going through orientation for every facility you go to, so you will know where to go, when not to go, what to do, what not to do. But fill it out for yourself. If you feel like your students are in danger at any point, if you feel like I tell my students, we mind our business. So like if there's something going on the unit legally, right, that can cost somebody's job or anything like that, an investigation. My students' names is not in nothing, honey. Nothing. Okay? We mind our business and we sit. It is good to come up to the units, y'all, before they go out to the floor, and just kind of get the energy, get the vibe, say hello, hi to the previous shifts, kind of get the energy from the previous shifts, kind of talk to the secretary, see how the day went, anything popped off, anything unsafe happened that you need to know about. Kind of look around, make sure the crash cart is available in there in case somebody go down, honey. just look around. Just make sure everything is okay. Like I said, I always tell my students they get this feeling that they're not safe or they don't feel comfortable with someone on the unit to just come to me and then we'll just change it. We don't even got to go into the details, anything like that. We just change it. Now, there's going to be some skills on their clinical checklist that they are going to have a challenge with getting. But post-conference, you can make that and be so creative in post-conference, and they are getting those skills, right? And go over the things that you think that they know, because they don't. Because I promise you, I'll be making them do it again, even the seniors. Again, Miss Linda? And then they be like, I'll be like, I see you messing up. They're like, yeah, I need to practice. I need practice. Yeah, you caught me on that one. Yeah, I need practice. They're not practicing enough. So you need to practice and practice and practice and practice and practice. And then again, make it entertainable, right? Set your boundaries with students, right? Let them know your expectations for exiting your clinical. So you should have an expectation for getting out of there. And make sure you let them know, okay, in order to exit tonight, you got blah, 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 blah. They need to know how to properly talk as a nurse. So work on their verbiage, their terminology, right? We say, no, we don't say that. It's kind of like having toddlers, right? We don't say that. We don't say that. We say this. So that way, because students don't like feeling out of place, right? I remember as a student, I have some clinical sites that suck and you just standing there in the corner like a shadow. And then I had some where nurses will pour into you, honey, if you're open to learn, right? You're open to learn whatever they want to give you. And some nurses are standoffish. I respect any nurses that say they don't want nobody. I stay away from that person. Then probably the reason why, there's a reason. We don't got to go into it. That's their business. And make it happen. Even if you don't have a lot of nurses on the unit because of short staff, you don't need a bunch of nurses to make it a clinical day, right? You can make a clinical day. There's so many things that you could be doing with your students. There's so many things you could be talking to them about, right? Getting and to help them to, on the clinical side, help them to know exactly how to be the nurse that they want to be. Like put them on that path, right? Set goals, right? So all my leaders that's like to be charge nurses, I put them with my charge nurses and let them shadow with charge nurses to see how charge nurses they go. Okay, so our school is not very limited to what they can learn as far as their skills, but some universities have limitations, honey. I've seen one other university out there that the RN student couldn't do anything. Her paper had all the no's, honey, to everything that she's supposed to be learning as an RN. I felt so bad because she was limited and she wasn't going to our school, and our students are not limited. So you might want to look for a job where the nurses are not limited and you can really give them those skills. And make sure you polish up your skills and don't be out there and it ain't right? Because things do change, right? How you do stuff, but make sure that you're doing it because they are watching your every single move, y'all. Yeah, every single move. They're watching how you interact with patients and families. They're watching how you have a discussion about their health, how you introduce yourself to the room, right? How you take care of the patient, right? All the things they're watching because they have no experience. So this is their first interaction with a nurse that's been out there. And these nurses are happy because they have no experience. So they're them happy students. So don't be the miserable clinical instructor because you're miserable in your career. You can change that and join an education department because, honey, listen, it's not all self-girl everything, but it's something where you at least can see that they're transforming into real nurses. You're turning people who has never touched a patient, worked in retail, works in construction, right? Works in other areas, never touched somebody before to a full-blown professional nurse, honey, ready for war. That is what you're building leaders. You're building warriors, right? Building warriors, right? Make sure you dress to impress and stand your ground when you come to a unit. Make sure they like, oh yeah, that's her. Because most everybody know where I come to the unit. And like I said, they know that they love it. I always get feedback like, Miss, they like, every time you bring your group, they are smart. I'm like, yeah, I'll be getting them in that classroom. And that's too, and being honest with their learning, right? And saying, no, that's not right. And you may have students that may have a lot of dealing with a lot of personal issues, right? So make sure you let them know that clinical is an interview. So when you change it up as far as not as just being clinical, you need your hours, change it to this is an interview because literally some of my students got hired straight from clinical. I remember getting a job straight from clinical as a nursing student at the same university. right off the spot. Someone wanted to give me their pediatric community clinic job. It was like this community clinic. I love that clinical, honey. The community clinic was amazing. We was vaccinating all the non-vaccinated patients. They were Spanish speaking, honey. They were saying all the things. I think some guy said something. I was like, I'm talking to him. He just and I loved it, honey. And I got offered the job on the spot. And so I tell myself, dress to impress, be on time. Make sure your eyelashes look good. So make sure you're following the handbook, your student handbook. So you should be reading that student handbook as an instructor and know the expectations, because most of the people you be asking about expectations that work there, you be getting several different answers, honey. Make sure you read that handbook. I carry my handbook. I created my own clinical binder for my to stay organized, and I even inspired one of my students last term to start their own SBAR templates. And I was like, what? Okay. Because I push SBARs because that's what we do. And when I started there, one of the instructors was asking me like, I'm changing to what you do because that's what you do. I'm like, that's what we do on the floor. Like, we're not writing a 13-page paper. We need these students to get skills that they need that's going to save their life, a patient's life, right? So you have to be mindful of what assignments that you're giving them, because if it's taking up a lot of time, they're not getting a lot of floor time. They should be on the floor passing those trays. They should be doing their blood sugar checks. They should be doing all types of stuff, honey. I even did a situation where I ran to a room and I was acting like they're saying that, and I'm like, oh, y'all blood sugar is in the 40s. They like, blood sugar in the 40s, for real? They took off. They took off looking through the papers, trying to remember what to do. And I'm like, okay, thank nurses. And I call them nurses. I don't call them nothing else because that's what they are. So call them nurses. That's the nurses. Okay, what we going to do if we have a blood sugar that low? And I had my patient act it out. He loved it, honey. He loved acting it out, honey. And he like, oh, God, I feel so terrible. Oh, and I'm like, nurses, okay. And one student stood up and she checked the heart rate, because they know that the patient goes tachycardic if the blood sugar is low and all these things. And then I'm like, okay, we did that, but that's the theory side of it. But what are we going to do for the patient? Like, what is our clinical skills? This is why clinical instructors are so important, because most students have the theory, but they have no clinical skills. So they might know that the heart rate will shoot up, but what the hell they going to do to get the juice? Let's get some 4 ounces of what in the patient, right? So anyway, y'all. So I'm hoping I'm inspiring some new clinical instructors. There's so many jobs out there. You can work during the day. You can work at night. You can just do this job. You don't have to teach. Some people like to just do this job. Maybe you are director and on your unit, and you already run the whole unit, and you're a director of nursing on that unit, or assistant director, whatever you are. It can benefit your unit as well to have students there to help, right, to be part of the team. And you never know, you might inspire nurses to come back and work there. So it is always a great relationship when you have students in the building. Now, let me tell you why some nurses may not want some students. It's because they know them students know better. They know it. They like, I don't want them watching me and I'm doing the wrong thing. Because my students are already like, yeah, Muslim, you see that? They got the medication out all over the thing. And they they doing it. I'm like, are we going to do that? No. All right. Because you're going to see some terrible things out there. I warn them before we even get to the floor. You're going to see everything that we didn't teach you. Don't do it. Don't be a follower, be a leader. Okay, so, and then you always got to have, and lastly, you always got to have nurses, students that you get a feeling about, like a gut feeling, like, I need to check this nurse. I need to make sure she good. I need to, you could be in clinical. Sometimes I get that. Like, I might be like, let me go check that nurse. If it's a certain type of students, honey, they ain't doing what they supposed to be doing. Try to do something they ain't supposed to be doing. Go follow behind them nurses and things like that. Again, you want to, whether it's a big unit or a small unit, you want to know what they do on that unit, like what they specialize in, how the nurses flow. You need your nurses students to be part of the huddle so they can feel part of the team. They can start building relationships with certain nurses, because some of my students may say, Miss Flynn, please let me get back with so-and-so. And I'm like, I'll let you know, honey. I'll let you know. And you have to be the captain at all times. You cannot let these nursing students feel like that, because they're taken away from their learning when they're trying to do your job. I'm like, come back, so I'm trying to help you so you can make some money in the future and do my job. That's what I'm trying to do. But right now you don't have the credentials. I'm trying to get them, and I want them to have the best jobs. I'm honest with I want them to make more money. I want them to buy their homes and and get their dreams started, right? Buy their vehicle. I remember my vehicle always breaking down, baby. Mom used to do a little shake, honey. I don't know what that was, but it used to do it. And yeah, I had a little Fiat at one point. I finally got a car. And for my SUV, I felt that happened with the Dare. And then I finally got me a little Fiat. I was happy. You hear me? Finally got a car I could get to work. So, and I always was the nurse on the unit that took students. Even as a travel nurse, I took students. I remember one hospital, I came back the next day. I took students the day before, and the next day, the charge was like, hey, Miss Swim, they all asking for you. Do you mind taking them along with your assignment? They all want to be with you for the day. I took the whole team, all the students. I forgot what school they was from. They was the one like, get on TikTok, Miss Swim, get on TikTok. But I was telling them the truth. I was showing them what I do in real time on the computer, and they just fell in love. And I just took on to them. And then even as the director of nursing, I've done the same thing. I took them into my building. I had 4 universities, and then I opened it up to 5 and took in Hampton University students out there. And so because I found out they wasn't getting the hours. So I spoke to their clinical instructors and all the people, and they're like, we don't know what's going on. They're not getting no hours. So that was the only way for the students to graduate. I'm like, yeah, come on. One more university ain't going to help. Ain't going to hurt. So I had them in my building when I was running 5 nursing units. Oh my God, y'all, 5. Honey, 5 nursing units with 5 universities, along with volunteers. And I had travel nurses in my building. I was not getting rid of all of them, because I did write a proposal for a retention plan, all this stuff to my CEO, and it was like, my numbers is not adding up. I don't have enough nurses to cut all my travel nurses out, but I did minimize them to follow through with whatever the company wanted to do, because they have the cost. They know what, what they need, right? What they can afford. So I hope this was super helpful. I hope this was super, even for my new nurses, my student nurses that are thinking about coming into education as they're going through their schooling and think they could do a better job or have better ideas to make, to keep this thing going. Like, come on, like, this is a help for everybody. My students who want to teach or be clinical instructors or whatever in the future, because let me tell you, nursing is a type of career right now where people are going job to job to job to job, because it is so much that's going on right now. People are trying to protect their license. So this is one way that you can come and make an income, right? If you have your bachelor's, so your bachelor's science of nursing, right, degree. And you're going to be running backgrounds, you're going to be doing some paperwork. It may take a little bit of time to get onboarded, because universities take a while sometimes. It just depends. But if you're not getting yeses, you need to pray on and let God put his hands on it and put you in the right place, right? Maybe you belong in a certain place around certain students. So you need to pray on it and make sure this is the right fit, because if it's not the right fit, you're going to have a hard time with these students. And they're very mature. These are grown men and women. These are not children. These are not your grandkids. These are grown men and women looking for a second career, looking for a career change, looking to be something better out there. And they don't have the time, honey, for you to get it together. So you need to make sure this is a good fit. But if you have that bachelor's level and some compassion for pouring into someone else in nursing, this job is for you. So the pay for clinical instructors are actually not that bad. Most nurses get paid per hour. So per hour that they're doing clinicals, they get paid a higher amount. It's kind of like almost being PRN in a sense, if you're doing it and you're working your regular job and then you're doing this on the side. So you'll get paid per hour. Sometimes it might even be in the 40s or high 40s or whatever like that if you have your bachelor's. The higher nursing level of knowledge that you're teaching, the higher the responsibility, the higher the pay, and you might need a higher level degree if education is for you. But do not just get it. Wait till God says it's time for you to have a high level degree, because most jobs are not paying for your high level degree. So you're just spending thousands of dollars to have a title, but you're not going to be able to use it as much. So my bachelor's, I use it a lot. I remember going to get my bachelor's as a nurse, and I'll never forget, they was teaching us how to run the Med-Surg unit, how to do the budgets, and how to manage staff, right? All those Excels and things like that. I was like, oh God, Microsoft, all the things. Honey, I remember all the things. I use my bachelor level skills for all So if you're just trying to decide on degree, maybe you're trying to skip your bachelor's, do not skip your BSN. It's helpful to just have your bachelor's. I made the top dollar just with a bachelor's degree nurse. Top dollar. I'm talking about top dollar. Just as a bachelor's degree nurse, y'all. And so that's just my advice to you out there. So if you're looking for additional income, this is it. And I'll see y'all in the next. And take this time to like, subscribe, and share the love. I'm trying to get people, hit thousands of nurses out there that need good advice, that need a platform that is going to pour back into them, that's going to provide them resources, that's going to give them real story time on things that they might have experienced out there and they think they're alone in it, and they have a full-blown community behind them that they don't know about. So if you're not part of the inspirational channel, please take this time to join the YouTube side. It's inspirational nurse _RN Tiara TIARA. And then I have a TikTok that is the same name as well. And so if you are interested in this channel, for an inspirational channel, to pray for you, to pour back into you, to give you job ideas, realistic incomes that I made, and roles, responsibilities that I had, how to transition into bedside to non-bedside roles, this platform is for you. Okay, so this YouTube platform is for you. Inspirational I have been doing this for over 10 years. I've been teaching and pouring into so many nurses, to the point where one nurse, she almost suicided herself. She said my videos popped up and it saved her life. And I just want to give God the glory on here and give him his flowers, because if it wasn't for God who saved my life, I wouldn't be able to save anybody else's life. I got saved. I turned my life around, and God used me to be a voice in dark spaces, in places that nurses are, that need a sense of sisterhood, brotherhood, right? Need somebody that they can talk to, that's approachable, right? That most senior nurses, sometimes they're not so approachable. They look scary, right? It's like, oh God, I'm scared to ask them to go to the bathroom. Like, you don't want to be that scary nurse out there. You want to be a nurse that somebody can come to and say, hey, I need your help. Hey, I don't know the answers to this. Hey, do you know anything about this? Hey, anything, right? You want to be the go-to. So my goal on here, well, my desires, because God is going to do my desires, is to continue to grow this platform, to spread the word from all over the world, to spread the word about the Inspiration Nurse channel. I'm looking to partner with actual brands that are going to pour back into my viewers, that are inspired by me mentoring them, or anything, brands, anything like that. So I got to collab with nurses before on this channel and help their blogs, and wrote about my travel nurses experience, because I'm very honest and transparent about my journey. I don't hide anything, because it's not healthy to hide what you go through, because nurses go through so much pain. It's kind of like being in an abuse situation where you constantly know the abuser, but you're constantly still getting abused, and you don't know what to do. You don't know which way to go, because you need income. You feel trapped. So if you're looking for a second home, Inspirational Nurse is it. And also, again, I'm just here available. I try to put out things that I know the Holy Spirit wants me to put out. Sometimes I minister on here just to help people in their spiritual walks, and just to get aligned with themselves, fall back in love with themselves, right? Because you can have all the titles and all the degrees and still feel empty, still feel lost out there, still feel like you don't have direction, still feel like you go to work, but you're not fulfilled. You're not like happy. You're not like living your true dreams, right? You're suffering on the inside, right? So you don't want to be out there just with a whole bunch of titles behind your name, and you're not doing anything with your legacy. There's no legacy when you pass on. Okay, so there's no nurse legacy. There's nothing that you can leave your children behind, right? You want people to remember you. You want people to remember, like, that. I remember that girl. You want them to have that in their minds about you. Nursing is a small world. So help me. I might need help with something, y'all. I always be needing help with stuff sometimes. I be needing help sometimes, advice, right? I need encouragement, right? Things like that. So YouTube, I love it because it's a sense of community. There's so many other nurses on this platform that helped me get through the COVID crisis that I had to work as a new RN coming out of nursing school. But my hands, God prepared me, and I was able to stay the course without quitting my job, work 6 days a week, 12-hour shifts and still was coming home to my family. So God can do it. God can take you from being a broke nurse with degrees to making millions, right? God can turn it around. There's some people on here that God is getting ready to open doors financially. There's some businesses that you probably got ready to go. Maybe you're still working on some big things behind the scenes nobody knows about that God has been having you work on. And God is getting ready to open doors for you to finally make those things manifest and come true. And so keep working on whatever God has with you working on. Work on your craft. If you're not in nursing yet and you so desire, because I remember when I wasn't a nurse, I was like staring in the glass. It's kind of like at the zoo. You stare at the animals in the glass. You're like, oh my God, look at them. Look at them. They're so beautiful. So that was me, wanting to be that nurse inside that glass, right? And wanted to be that one day. And God has done it for me. I have a crazy testimony because without any test, there can't be no testimony. So God has gave me so many visions and dreams for this platform. There's so many nurses I met along the way. Even when I used to work, they were like, oh, I know you on that platform. Yep. And I remember one nurse I was working with, he was like, yo, so you famous, right? I'm like, I'm just a regular nurse today, honey. I'm working the floor, baby. I'm just a regular, I'm nobody. He like, And yeah, so God is definitely using me as a voice because whatever, so the enemy likes to tell you the opposite. So whatever God wants to use, he's going to tell you the opposite. So like the enemy will tell you the opposite, like, oh, your voice is bad. Oh, your words is terrible. Oh, nobody's listening to you. And God is like, I'm about to use you. So there's so many nurses out there, or beginning nurses or future nurses that you're desiring nursing. You're like, I don't even know where to start. Inspirational Channel is for you. If you like, hey, I don't even know which direction to go for schools. I don't even know how to pay for these books. I don't know if I can afford my tuition. I don't even know which jobs to go for. I don't even know if I'm strong enough to get through nursing school because medical school, anything is hard. Honey, I can't stand math. Honey, the Inspirational Channel is for you. I'm still working on it. I'm still building it over the years and make changes and things like that to go with the times. But it is for you. It's a safe platform where we can talk about all the stuff that most hospitals and jobs are like, shh, 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 shh. Here you can talk about it. Here's a safe place for you to cry if you're not having a good day at work. You know, your boss is not so nice and things of that nature. Somebody throwing salt on your game, right? Things like that. So take things as a challenge. Anytime somebody giving you a harder assignment, giving you a hard time, it's because they see something in you that they don't have. And so work harder. It makes you work faster. It makes you be able to work with complex patients and do assessments less than 5 minutes. It helps you to be very efficient in what you do and your skills and continue to practice, right? Continue to grow, go to workshops, y'all. Go get certified in different areas. Just go get it. Pay out of pocket. Stop waiting for people to give you stuff. I think a lot of people are not people who are not successful in nursing wait for people to give them and handle them things. You have to create your own level of success in nursing. No one's going to give you anything. Pay out of pocket and pour into your own self. Invest into you. Whatever you're trying to do in 2026. And I'll see you on the next.